Okay, so um, we are looking at this before time we run out of time. So you could have something like this, and then maybe so this way now, if class in this list, okay, one item in the list is CSS, your item in the list is Python, it can work. Or maybe if it's just a list that has only Python like this, and you say if class in Python, of course, if this will make that code to be correct, if you just put that Python in a list instead of it to just be a string. So when you do it like this, the code is going to check if the class is in this list, which Python is there. Okay, so I just thought to mention that here. Okay, and now we can
Okay.
index into the list. So up here, we have this list. Like this. Apple, banana, and cake is our list. Let me call it list. LA. Okay. Why is he underlining it? Does anybody know? Anybody spots the error? Our IDE is telling me that when I say LA is equal to this list, it's underlining LA, like something is wrong somewhere.
Place earlier was defined before.
Yeah,
It's not, it's a list, it's not a string.
Capital letter.
Yeah. Yeah, you tried, but we've not hit the nail on the head. Okay, let me give you a hint. The problem is not with this line.
Is that in one?
No, it's L. So the problem is not with this line. This line has no
Okay,
problem. Okay. Let me show you where the problem is. What's this? Okay. I've gone to click something now. So the problem is not with this. This is where the problem is, line 40. What's happening in line 40? I
This statement.
started,
Yes, comment it.
yeah, if I comment it, it will go. The problem will
The
be solved,
conditional.
right? But then what is the problem? So I'll leave it
I
uncommented.
think
I'm sharing.
the problem is that okay. I think the problem is that we're supposed to indent that LA. Since line 41 is a condition.
But is it
The-
part of the first line?
Yes, it's part of. He's seeing it. He's taking it line by line. So
We're
he's
under
seeing that.
index, no.
No, that line 44 is supposed to be indented since you have a 41 is a condition. It's a conditional statement. So since you didn't indent it, he's seeing it as an error. So if you indent
It's
it, that
another
error
code
will
itself.
go off.
I
Okay,
thought this is a new code.
No, he's still seeing it as part of that 41.
yeah, good news is close. So the problem is because I defined this block of code and nothing happened, right? So it is assuming this is supposed to be this block of code. Now,
Yes.
whenever you define a block of code like this and you don't want to do anything, there's something that helps in part. You can just do this. Have you seen this keyword before?
Yes.
Yes.
Pass, yeah. So what it tells Python is, okay, for my if statement, I don't have anything, just pass. Then it jumps and sees the line, the way Nkechi was saying, oh, it's a different thing. Yes, it's now Python will understand it's a different thing. If you don't implement anything under your if, anything that is a block statement that has this colon, if you don't implement anything, anywhere you go and implement the next thing, Python will assume that that thing is supposed to be in line with this, except you say you should pass it, skip.
Yeah.
So that was a problem. So when I pass it, it tells it, okay, don't worry, there's nothing for if. And then it goes its way. And then this make, okay. So now back to where we are indexing, just like list, we can have something like print. You can print LA 0. So if we print LA 0, it will be apple. If you print LA 1, it will be banana. If we print LA 2, it will be cake. You get?
Yes.
Because we said before that the first item is index 0. The second item is index 1. And this is index 2. Now, if you go and do LA of index 4, there is no 4 element
It's different.
or 3. So this will give index out of range. Okay. Give error. So as you walk, you then begin to understand that error. Let's see the error again. I think it should be index out of range. Yeah, list index out of range. So once you just see index error, if it's what is stopping your code, you already know that you're trying to index out of range something that doesn't exist. Okay, and then that too. So because of indexing, we can pick the elements here. Now, we could also do list slicing the way we did in strings, where we could slice it. You can say maybe a new list, LP can be equal to LA, and then you slice from element, let's say 1 to element 2. Yeah.
Okay.
You can slice it again and say step 1 or step 2. Just the same thing we did with string. You can slice it that way. So if you understand slicing in string, it's also the same kind of slicing, but this one, it will produce a new list. Yeah. Okay. Now we've talked about looping. When we talk about iterable, looping, that's going through the items with your for loop. That's looping. So I'll just remove this one, cover this. Does anybody have any question on slicing?
No.
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 So you can slice lists too. Good. And then there's what we call mutability. In strings, we said string was what?
Immutable.
Immutable.
Immutable, sorry.
Immutable. So now one major difference between string and list is that list is mutable. Mutability, let me just say mutable. And what does this mean? It can be changed. You can update it after creation. So string, once you create a string, you cannot update it. If you update it, it's like creating a new string, right? Now, you see something now. We could do this.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Abby, I wanted to throw more light on this area. You said if string is created, it can't change. I'm a little bit confused. Can you just throw more light on it?
So if this string is created like this, and After creating, you can't mutate it, you can't change it.
And
That was
delete.
why last week also we tried to modify this string, and the way you modify string, you will slice it, right? If I want to change this A, I will now slice it to that point and then
Add
replace
something.
A with something. Let me go back to the file so that we'll see what we did. This is the file. Where is it?
Paste it down.
Okay, so look at this. This is a string, John. And then we said, let us replace H. For us to replace H, we then
P.
slice John from J to O. So this is the slice in here. When you slice it, this will become JO. Let me put it
Yeah.
on. This one we give JO. And then you will now add with concatenation. You will now add P.
To replace H.
You now add P. Then you also come back and add this one here. We get the last element, N. So this will now create a new string, which is equal to JOPM.
PM.
So all these things, just to replace P, we had to manipulate the string this way. And once we did this, it created a new string. It did not change this string. And when it created a new string, we had to assign it to this one
The
variable.
current.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we now said, instead of us to change it to another variable name, we still use this variable name. So in memory, when we do this kind of operation, this particular string will no longer have a name, like a variable referencing it, no variable reference John. John will now be hanging in space. I think then we drew something, a diagram. And once John now is hanging in space, there is no reference to John again, because you have the former guy that was referencing John is ST2. ST2 was referencing John. Now you have changed ST2 to reference JOPN.
PM.
Let me move all this code forward and show you something. Let me delete all of this. Let's bring it to today. And let's change this one to comment. Don't want any print to be there. Let's just do something. So if I bring this here now, and I do this, G is equal to ST2. So I say ST2 is equal to John, and I say G is equal to ST2, right? So in reality,
Yes.
G is pointing to ST2, pointing to John. Now I modify ST2. ST2 now have a new value. Now the question is, will G have a new value, or will G point to John? We'll solve it now and see. So we print. Let's print G and see what G will print for us. Some things are still printing. Don't want all these print statements. We don't want you to print. Oh, if I do this now, it will become something else. So now can you see what we printed?
Yes.
Yeah. That is John. So many things. So
Okay, wait. Before we print again, we'll ask it as a question. Now, this is our code. We have ST2 to be John. We have G to be equal to ST2. Okay? And then we modify and change ST2 to point to something else. ST2 was initially pointing to John, but here now ST2 is now pointing to a new variable here, this. Then I decide to print ST2, and I also decide to print G. So the question to you is, what will ST2 be when I print it?
JOPN.
The
JOP.
current
Okay, good. What will G
value.
be when I print G?
John. No.
JOPN.
The same thing.
No.
G will be JOHN.
That's where the pointer has changed to the current value.
So
No,
wait, Nkechi, what
you
will
have
G be?
initially ST2 is John. Now you
Yeah.
have assigned that ST2 to G. So whenever you bring G, it will carry that value of ST2.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So is that what the class said?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Any contrary opinion?
I don't agree. G will still
I didn't even
print
hear what he said.
ST2. ST2 will print JOPN.
G will be
We have new value for
JOHN.
ST2 now.
G
Okay, so
will be
let me explain what he
JOHN.
said, please. He said that ST2 is John, and then G is equal to ST2, right?
Yes.
So we reference G to ST2. When we change ST2, that G will be referencing ST2, so G will change, right?
Mm.
If we change ST2, G will change. That's what he said.
No,
Yes.
I said if
That's
you are
not what I-
printing G, it will not change. But if you are printing ST2, it will change.
Yes, that's my position as well. G will not
G
change,
will,
but
G will
ST2
not change, but
No.
Yes,
ST2 will
G will
change.
be JOHN.
Okay. Then this one will be JOPN. Any other contrary opinion?
Exactly.
Okay, let us print it and see something. Let me save
Then
it
give
first.
it. Give the same result.
Okay,
The
NK,
current result.
wait, NK, both of them will be JOPN, right?
Yes, because but it will give JOPN. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but okay, let's see now practically. What is still printing? Sorry, wait, oh. Something is printing that is disturbing me. Okay, is this one? I
This
save it.
banana and this thing. Yeah.
So look at this.
Yes.
So
The pointer for John did not change. It has already been
Yes.
assigned previously. Even if you print it 40 times later, it will still come out as John.
yeah. So NK, do you see now? Now let me explain
Yes.
further what is happening. Let me just
But you
explain.
said in the last class,
Go ahead. Say what you just continue what you're saying.
you said in the last class that we have kind of memory management or loss in the memory, some loss in space, something like that. That the variables container will be there, but the current status of the new variable will be the one to print. That's where the pointer will be looking at.
Let me look for a whiteboard or no, maybe it's not. Let me use PowerPoint. Oh, okay. Okay, this is a PowerPoint. Let me explain things that are happening so it will be clear. And this is what I explained last class. So you have this element, which is John, and then the variable is pointing to it, right?
Yes,
When we then modified the
John.
John to
H2.
JOPN, we created something different, something new. And what happened is we took this name V and pointed it here. Okay. So normally when
Exactly.
you do this arrow goes off. So this guy here is left alone, no reference. So in memory, there is no variable pointing to it. It's just hanging there. And I told you that in Python, we have the garbage collector. From time to time, the garbage collector runs. And when it sees any variable in memory that has no reference to it, it will clean it. Okay? So that's what you're referring to Enke that I said. But now this thing we did today, this one we did today, we came here and put G is equal to ST2. We did not say G is equal to John, but we just said G is equal to ST2. Now, what does this thing do? How does it work in Python? What it did is, because at that time the assignment was done, ST2 was pointing to this. So when I say G is equal to ST2, so something like this is G. I basically acted as if I said G is equal to V, which is ST2, right?
Yes.
Now, the way Python handled this thing is it took G directly like this to this place. So when I say G was equal to V, what it did is it took G and made it equal to whatever V was equal
The
to, which
value
is
of
this
V.
one.
Okay.
So G was, I said G is equal to V, but in the computer, it read it as G is equal to whatever V stands for, which is this thing at that time. So when I now did the second JOPN and assigned V to point to JOPN,
Another one.
remember G is still pointing to
Did not
John.
change.
So it did not, this was why
Okay.
it did not change. Do you get?
Okay.
And if the garbage collector comes, it will not clean it at this time because there is still a reference to it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But now this is where you then begin to see that even though we attempted to modify the string, John still remained. You know, someone was
Okay.
asking about the immutability. At least this brings it out that even though we try to modify ST2 and give it a new value, G still remained as John to let you know that John was not
Immutable.
modified, but we created
Okay.
something new. I hope it's clear now.
Yes.
Yes.
We created something new. That's why G still has the value of John. It didn't change. Why it's acting this way is because it's immutable. It cannot change. String will not change once you made it. You rather create something new and reassign. That is why most string methods will be, even if you're doing replace in string, if you want to use replace, which we talked about that day, we could say something like this now. ST2 will be equal to ST2 dot replace, right? And you will find H and replace it with P.
E.
This was a simpler way to just do this. And doing this created a new string. That is the reason why we had to assign it like this. Okay? It did not modify this John. It created something new. And if you don't assign it, you will lose it. If you don't assign it, say, okay, store it in this variable, it will be lost. The new thing you do will be lost. So you have to catch it because you're creating something new. Okay, now let's bring this, let me remove this learning of string and then come to list. So that we'll now see the one that is mutable, how it behaves. So we know that list is this. This is our list. Now you can do something like this. I will change item 1. You know, if I do like this, I'm indexing into the list and it will give me apple, correct?
Yes.
Reassign that apple and say it should be boy. And then I'll come back and print early. You'll find out that early has changed when we save it and run. While running, you can see when we printed early, it has been changed.
Yes.
It's mutated, so it's mutable. We can change it, but you cannot do this on string. Even though you can index into string, let's say if we look at this string that is John st2, you can actually do something like this, print, and you can say st2 of 0. If I print this, it will print J, but I cannot do st2 of 0 and say it should change and say equal to maybe H. I can't change it like this. If I do this, this will bring an error. Okay? But in list, you could change because list is mutable. But string is not mutable. You can't perform this operation in string. It will throw an error. Let us see the error now. If I save it and run that file, look at it. String does not support item assignment. You can't assign it. You can't. It's because it's immutable. That's why this is not supported. But list performed it and updated the list by changing, just pointing to the index and say that index should be boy. It was updated. So you can update the list, but you cannot update string. Now, why you just need to know is because you can be asked the question, right? 1 and 2. When you're working with strings, you need to understand how it works. Even though you cannot directly modify it, you could see that with replace, somehow we managed to modify it, okay? I'm trying to explain it like this so you understand how it's actually working. So you don't think that, oh, because you were able to replace it means you modify the string itself. No, you created a new string and reassigned. But in terms of list, you go and modify the list directly because it's mutable. You can change its content. You can remove item. You can add item. You can substitute item, different elements in the list, but you can't do that with string. I hope it's clear.
Yes.
Okay, so that's about
Yes.
Yes, it's clear.
thank you. That's about it being mutable. So that will now bring us to the last topic for today, which is list methods. Now, list methods. Okay, let me leave it as string. Just like string methods, list has its own method. Let me try what Nkechi talked about. So if I enter the Python shell and do dir arrow of list, so you can see his own method. Like, let's forget all the magic methods. You see this first one here, append, clear, copy, and so on and so forth. Now, because it's mutable, we can easily say, let me bring forward this list to where we see it. This is the list. I can easily say la.append. And then I'll add, no. So append adds item to the end of the list. So if I say LA dot append, now remember, whenever we are trying to do something with string, we typically will do it something like this: LA equals to LA dot, right? Because when we are dealing with string, because it's not mutable, anything you perform like replace it to create a new string. In fact, look at it here. If you look at this line, when we perform replace, it created a new string, and so we assign it to this one. If not, we'll not get it. But when it's in list,
List.
instead of us to do this, we don't need to do this because it's going to modify the list in place, right? So you can just do LA dot append car. It will just go to LA and append car. You don't need to say LA equals LA. No, it goes and append. Append simply means add to. So if I print LA, save it and run, let me exit. Yeah. You see that thing I told you we create an error. Okay, still there. So let's just not literally disturbing our lives. So now, where is J coming from? Where is J coming from? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this 64. So so now look at when I did append, the list grew longer. So you can use append to add other items to the list. Now let us append again another list. For instance, if I want to add another list to the list, and this list is just 1, 2, 3.
This question.
Go ahead.
From this append,
Hmm.
I saw that whenever we append, it is just a continuation of the last variable that we maybe the last item, addition to the
Okay.
last item. Yeah. Now, if I want to put, let me say, in between, is it possible? Let's
Yes.
say maybe second to the last, and just is this something like insert, anything like insert?
Yeah, there's insert.
In
There's insert.
Word, you can insert in between.
Mm.
Is there anything like that?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. In
Yes.
between,
There's a site.
we'll check it out. There's insert, but does it work like that? We'll see. But before we get to
Okay.
that, I wanted to bring out this now. I tried to append a whole list, right? And you watch when I appended this. Remember, I say a list can also contain lists. So it just became
Another list. Okay.
the fourth element is a list. Okay. But what if you wanted to add 1, 2, 3 instead of adding it as another list? You want to kind of join it to this list. You could have used the plus, right? And that would work. And then we also have the one that we call extend. There's instead of append, you can do dot extend
Okay.
and do something like this. Instead of append, say extend 1, 2, 3. It's almost like this plus that. It will still give you
Okay.
an extension
It's something.
in that order. But append will make it the next element of the list. So this append, it comes in handy a lot. There are times you can be doing a manipulation, and whenever a certain condition occur, you can be appending, say, okay, append to my list, keep it here, or keep it there. So with list, you can be storing items in your code as you're going and also make reference to them in future. So he asked a question about insert. So let's go to that insert. So we can also have insert. in insert now, I don't think you can put it in between. Like he said, just put it here. And then this will become the fourth element, right? Dot insert, you would need
Reference index.
the index and then the object. So insert now, for instance, I can say banana is in 1, so I can insert 1 and make it orange. Okay. So this way now, I'm going to insert orange into banana, like replace. So let's see if that's how it works. Okay.
Replace so after.
Okay, yeah. So it didn't replace it. So you see, it put it as index 1 and
Before.
shifted
Okay.
the other element, just like
Banana.
it was asking. The person that asked the question say, can I insert something into the list? So that's
Refresh.
exactly how insert works. It takes orange, puts it. So I told you the index where you should put it, 1. So this is 0, 1. So you want to put it in between apple and banana. And that's what it did for you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
What if you don't want to specify the index? That is where it's going to put it.
Then insert is not appropriate now.
So where do you want to put it now? Do you want to
Just try
put
it now.
randomly?
Try it and see where it will fall.
Wait, the question is, do you want to just put it anywhere? I don't think there's
Anywhere, yes. Just
I
to
don't-
insert it in the list.
And that's append, and to put it in the back of the list.
Now, what I mean, assuming you want to use the code insert without that, you're not using append,
Index.
just insert, and without defining the index, will it still function like append?
So that's where we will now go to documentation. Because
Let's
everything,
try. Let's remove one from here. Let's see if
remove one
it
and
will
just
work.
run it
Just
and see
remove
if it-
one and run it and run the code.
Let's
okay.
remove the index. Check.
The index one and see. Let's see how it goes.
It won't crash the computer.
Delete the index one
Error.
and
Type
let's see.
expected 2 arguments. Got 1.
So even from here, it said expected 2 arguments got 1, meaning that you can't do that.
Okay, so you must go with 2 arguments.
Yeah, so the index,
Okay.
then where the item you want to insert. So the other way to see it would have been to come here to say list methods in Python. And we'll go to our W3 schools. You'll see them, there are not many. And then when you look at that insert, you can see the way it works. Syntax, you put the position and the element. And you see the description is required. You cannot do without it. The element can be of any type. Okay. So a lot of the examples you will do, you will need to do all this append and all that.
Okay.
So you can see even there's pop. Pop is very interesting. You can use pop dot pop to remove the last element, the list. Yeah, POP. So if we have this list and we want to remove cake, we can just do la.pop. Now notice something, most of all these we're performing on the list. We don't need to create a new list. Okay? We don't need to create a new list. It just happens. And they have one very important one. Okay, let's just deal with pop now. So if I insert orange and I come